Ooh, hey, it's another T4Cast. No. So, this one what I wanted to talk about was paternal rights in the state of Connecticut, at least. I don't know about the other states. I don't live there. It doesn't affect me there. But I know how it is here in Connecticut. It seriously does need a massive overhaul. I mean, the way that things are, it almost feels like what happened was back in the day, there was like a woman that was in Congress or something, and she was getting a divorce from her husband, and so since she had the ability to make a law and make things the way they are, she wrote up the bill to be spiteful to him, like, oh, you think you were gonna get a divorce? Have fun with this. And somehow it went on, passed through, and bam, this is what we got to deal with now. But it's very ridiculous and very unfair towards guys as well. So I don't really want to get too much into like the backstory of everything and why I'm not with my daughter's mother, but for the context of this story, I will have to give a little bit. So here goes. So this is the overall situation. Obviously, since I'm talking about this, I'm not with my daughter's mother. What happened was she ended up leaving me when she was 2 months pregnant, and it was just weird. Like, she just dropped off one day out of nowhere. So backing up a little bit, her and I were together for just about a year. It was so the Sunday I broke up with her on a Sunday, and that Saturday would have been our 1 year. And maybe that sounds a little crappy or something, but you do not understand the situation. And for me to almost last a year is a major achievement. Like, at about 3 months, I wanted our relationship to end. But there was some stuff going on that kind of made me stuck in the relationship for that long, almost a year. So anyhow, at the end of the day, she was my first real girlfriend. I mean, like, I had air quote girlfriends before, girls that I had talked to and hang out with here and there, but nothing serious. She was like the first one that was real. Like, we were a thing. She was mine, I was hers. And they always say there's something about your first piece or whatever. I mean, it's usually sexually related, but still. So I guess what happened was, for me, like, I don't know, it was a couple months later after we broke up, and I kind of just, I don't know, I guess she was there with me for a year, and then she wasn't there, so I guess you kind of missed her, even though I knew it was a bad choice to miss her. So I tried to talk to her, and she answered me, and we kind of reconnected and started hanging out again, and yeah, shortly after that, that's when she ended up getting pregnant. And, so it was kind of like, oh boy, like, we broke up and we're just starting to talk again, and now this happens. And it was like, well, at least we're not in a new relationship. We do have a year under our belts. It's not like we're just two people that just started talking. It's like, oh my God, you're pregnant, So we were trying to work it out, and we were doing things together. Like, she signed us up for the baby training classes, and we were looking into apartments. We looked at, I think, two. One of them was pretty nice. It was newly renovated. It had a nice finished off basement. It was pretty cool. And then the other one was kind of gross, like a crappy looking neighborhood. The apartment itself was just kind of gross. And I mean, I think the benefit of that one was that one of our aunts was the landlord, so it was kind of like, if we chose that, we probably could have got shoehorned in pretty easily, and we may have been able to get like a discount on rent just because it's family, but it was a gross place. Actually, just think about it, I think we looked at 3 places, because the other place we looked at was kind of in a crappy, grossish neighborhood as well, and the apartment itself was mildly gross, only because the landlord was super lenient in terms of like interior decorating. Like, he didn't care if you wanted to paint the walls. Like, he told us the only thing that he requested is that we say something to him. If we're gonna paint a wall, he doesn't care that we were gonna paint it. He doesn't care what color we wanted it. Just let him know, hey, I'm gonna paint the walls in this room, okay? So when you're walking through, it was kind of just mismatched. I mean, there was literally like kids colored on the walls and stuff, and it was kind of gross there. But anyway, yeah, 2 months in, like late January, she just ditched me. I think it was January 25th, if I'm not mistaken. It was just like the last time when she was just like, I don't want to try to do this anymore, blah, blah, blah. And it was weird, and it was out of nowhere. It made no sense. Like, we were trying, and then just, boop, just dropped right off. And, like, I continued to try here and there, and she always would just be, like, negative about it. She would threaten to call the police, that I'm talking to her, and blah, blah, blah. And mind you, it wasn't really a stalking situation. I was just, I figured she's got my kid growing in her. Like, I want to try to be there and help her as much as I can and what have you. And, like, this is how she was reacting to me, though. Like, leave me the F alone, blah, blah, blah. It was weird, just out of nowhere. So anyhow, I think maybe as an effort on her end to try to make me stop trying was, she ended up telling me that she knew that the child wasn't mine, and that when we weren't together, she messed around with a married guy who had 2 kids, and that she ended up getting pregnant by him, but she didn't want to go after him because she didn't want to ruin his life, and blah, blah, blah. And she thought someday she'd find a guy that she could just try to either A, pin the child on, or B, would, be able to step up and be a stepdad / real, in the child's mind, be the real father. And then she said, and then you came back, and it was, like, perfect timing, and I thought, good, I can just pin this on you, and blah, 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 but obviously this isn't going to work, and I'd rather just come clean than have you think that you're the father. So then it put me in a situation. I was like, okay, so there's 2 scenarios here. Either A, this is, okay, cool, good thing that you came clean, because I wouldn't want to be somebody's dad if it's not my kid, especially not by choice. You're just going to pin it on me? That's a crappy move. But then I was like, at the same time, though, I need this to be verified. I'm not just going to take your word, and if it is my kid, not being its life at that time, because obviously we didn't know. She was only 2 months pregnant. I mean, obviously now we know daughter, but at that time, the zygote was just it. So, obviously, that means I had to go and get a lawyer and get all this stuff set up so I could get a paternity test. And if the paternity test came back positive, we had to do court action and blah, blah, blah. And that's exactly what I did. I got this lawyer who ended up being terrible. She sucked. I mean, I was way better off just doing this by myself. Literally, because after I got rid of her, things went so much better when I was representing myself. My lawyer was the most worthless lawyer in the world. Like, I wish either A, I don't know, found some reviews on her or something, and was able to, that maybe other people would have the same crappy experience, or B, like, didn't go the route of a lawyer. I mean, geez, it ended up costing me $7,500, and she did nothing for me. If I would have known that was the outcome, I would have represented myself since day one and saved $7,500. Like, but anyway, I got a garbage lawyer, and, yeah, obviously the test came back. I think it came back saying, like, 99.19% match that she's mine. I always wondered, like, what does that mean? How is it 99.19? What's the 0.81 that doesn't match? What is that? It's weird. But anyways, mostly she's 100% mine. And so then we had to take the next steps to start court and get the visitations and blah, blah, blah. So, with all this being known, and I said all this to my worthless lawyer, who probably didn't say anything to anybody, and that's why things started off on a bad foot. What ended up happening was, when we walked in the room with the mediator, the very, very, very first thing that happened, right after we all sat down, it was like, I sat down, me and my daughter's mother sat down, and then it was like the lawyers kind of sat down, and then it was like the people in the room that were mediating sat down. It was a weird unspoken structure. Nobody said to do it like that, but that's just the way it went. It was kind of weird, but as soon as everyone was seated, first thing the mediator says is, okay, so we're going to set up child support. First thing, nobody cared about visitation. Nobody cared what I just went through. Nobody cared about any of that. It was like the very, very, very first thing they were worried about was just setting up child support. And it was just like, are you kidding me? Like, it almost felt like I was being punished for going through all this. I was being punished that my daughter's mother chose to leave me when she was 2 months pregnant. I was being punished that my daughter's mother chose to be difficult towards me and not talk to me, not work with me, not let me go to doctor's appointments, etc., etc. I was being punished for getting a lawyer. I was being punished for getting the paternity test to verify that I was this child's parent. I was being punished for going to court so I could be a part of this child's life now that I found out she's mine. Like, that's what it felt like. Right off the bat, first thing. Now, during those days, they set it to be, I think it was $70 even, is what they set it as. But it was just crazy. Like, how is this the very first thing that you're worried about? All things considered. And the even worst part is my daughter's mother planned on moving to Maine. And so, obviously, as I started this, as I said, I live in Connecticut. We live in Connecticut. She planned on moving to Maine because she has a friend that used to live down here as well and moved up to Maine. So she was basically going to move up there to be close to her. And the plan was, all along on her end, was to, do this on her own. Be a single mother, not get child support or anything. Just do it all on her own and just be up there. Be away from me and all this. So, again, all things coupled together, it's like, why is the very first thing we're worried about is child support? How about the very first thing we worry about is letting me see at the time my baby, And then from there, my visits were garbage in the very beginning. I had 2 hours supervised visits with, it either had to be with my daughter's mother or her mother. It couldn't even be with my family at all. It's not like I could pick her up and be with my mom. It had to be with them. And that was just annoying too. Like, why do I need supervised visits for? Like, it's just something that I thought was weird in general. Like, so you trust women to be able to give birth, go home, and know how to take care of a kid, but a guy would be dumb and not know at all what to do? I mean, yeah, it's a new thing. I didn't have kids before, but geez, I caught on pretty easily. It's not that difficult. Baby cries, you see what's wrong. Okay, you hungry? No, I just fed you 5 minutes ago. How's your diaper? Oh, it's full. Oh, no, or not. Oh, okay, your diaper's fine. Maybe you just need some snuggles. Like, it ain't hard to figure out. Like, I don't even understand why I had those stupid supervised visits. And the worst part was those stupid supervised visits were 3 months straight. I had to do that crap for 3 months. Obviously, I did it because I wanted to start building a relationship with my daughter, but it was just like, why is this so demeaning? 3 months of supervised visits. I mean, not truly supervised, at least I didn't have to have like DCF supervised, but still, 3 months dealing, hanging out with my daughter's mother or her mother, which again, my daughter's mother chose to ditch me, so that was always kind of awkward to be hanging out with her. And then her mother, I mean, there's nothing wrong with her mother, but I feel like my daughter's mother always talked poorly about me and made me look like I'm somebody I'm not. And so that's the image they had of me, at that time at least. And I just feel like it was always super uncomfortable for me because, like, you have either people that are just kind of, my daughter's mother against me, or it's her parents that kind of think poorly of me because of what the crap she filled them up with. I mean, they even said something to me in the very beginning, like, what the heck was it? I don't know. We were just hanging out. It was me, my daughter, and my daughter's maternal grandmother that day, because my daughter's mother was going to college during those days. So, yeah, she said something like, oh, man, what was it? There was like a story to it, but the short version of it basically was, anybody can be a father, but it takes someone special to be a dad. And, like, I guess her implication was she thought I wasn't going to be sticking around. Like, I was only here for now just because, to try to show face, but then I'd end up dipping out. And it's like, nope. I did all this and spent all this money on a lawyer for a reason. I ain't going to be dipping out. I'm trying to be here. And like, during those days, too, it was spotty for me. Not because of me, but because, again, my daughter's mother, she used to always find anything to try to, tell me I couldn't see my kid. Anything stupid. There was one time I'm jumping all over, too many thoughts. But yeah, she used to try to find anything, and she'd always try to threaten the police and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I didn't care. We had a court order, so it was like, okay, I'll just bring the court order to your house. Go ahead, call the cops. I'll show the cops, like, I'm not doing anything. And then you'll lose, so to speak. But then I was like, great, all this is going to do is cause problems. So then I would skip my visits and reschedule court, like, the very next day. And then court always took, like, 3 weeks before we could get in. And it was such a mess. Finally, after about a year of this crap happening, that's when the judge saw through it. And he said, if he has to take you back here again, then what's going to happen? Well, hold on, let me back up a bit. The short version of it, he was talking for like a minute and a half straight, but like at the very end, he said, the short version of it, at the very end, he said, if he has to bring you back here again, what's going to happen is I'm going to either A, put you in jail, B, reverse custody, which he messed up his wording because we have joint shared custody. So I think what he meant was reverse primary residence. So I would be primary caregiver and she would get visits. Anyhow, and then he said, or C, both. And then finally, it was in her head enough to realize, oh, I guess I gotta stop playing these stupid games because now there'll be real consequences. But it took a year to get to that point. And yeah, I just went through a lot of crap. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, currently, I pay... So it started as $70 a week or something like that. 70 or 74, I don't remember. It was something in the 70s. And that lasted like a month. Then once we got to court for real, because that was at mediation. Once we got to court for real, they boosted that up to $135 a week. Now, there's a lot to say about that, but for starters, the worst part of it, too, is after they boosted me to $135 a week, they charged me arrears for when they had me down at 70. And it was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I gotta pay arrears because at the time it was set as 70? Like, that ain't fair. How is that even right? Like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not in arrears. It was 70 for that time being. Now it's 135, so we'll boost it to the 135. Why do I have to pay? That's $65 a week. Extra that I had to come up with to make up for that about month. So it's 4 weeks that they made me have to pay. Like, it's insane. And then even now, I lost my job recently. Child support didn't care. That kept piling up. And I didn't tell them where my job... I did have a job at the time when I lost... See, what happened was I lost my main job where I was making about $30 an hour. And then I ended up working only a job making $12 an hour. That's a massive drop, okay? And on top of that as well, the job making $30 an hour, I was doing 40 hours a week. The job making $12 an hour, I was doing 32. So it was severely less money and, a day less. I was doing 4 days a week. It was just Walmart overnights. And so I wasn't telling child support about that. I needed all the money I could get. I wasn't even making that much as it was. I went from making $1,500 bi-weekly down to making, what was Walmart paying me? Like $600 bi-weekly? $650? Somewhere around there. So, yeah, I wasn't interested in telling them. I was like, I'll just let let it pile up. And then when I get a real job again, I can work on paying it off. Well, anyhow, somehow they ended up finding out where I worked, and they zapped it to my company that they were just going to take my money. So now, bi-weekly, I was making like $350 a week. And it was because, the stupid child support crap. And it was like, you got to be kidding me. Basically, what it comes down to is, like, they call it back in the beginning when we were starting child support. The lawyer and judges said, child support is to create an equal opportunity for the child. Okay, well, what kind of equal opportunity is it in this situation that I just explained, where I'm pulling in now $350 a week? Bi-weekly. Geez, a week would have been better. Bi-weekly. So that's basically like, what, $175 a week? And then you got her mother, where they recently just purchased a house, and that was during the time that I was out of work. They got a house, they meaning her and her new boyfriend. Not really new. They've been together since my daughter was 2, so that's 6 years now. But still, her and him got a house. She's working her job full time. He's working his job full time. And then here's me viciously struggling, pulling in, $350 bi-weekly. How is that an equal opportunity? That is vastly unequal. Vastly. I'm at the time, borderline gonna lose my apartment and become homeless, and you got her mother just bought a house. How is my child support making an equal opportunity in that situation? Like, so that's one problem I have. I feel like if you lose your job, it should not pile up. Like, child support should just stop in that moment until you get yourself back on your feet. Now, if you quit a job, yes, it should keep going because that's your choice. You chose to quit. You knew you had financial obligations. You didn't find another job before you quit the one you had, so that's on you. But if you lose your job, that's not your choice. I didn't choose to lose my job. I didn't do anything wrong. And now I don't have money, but yeah, I still got to try to find money. And the other thing too that's even worse about all of this is I hear that it's borderline impossible to get any kind of change on your child support when you go to court. I've read so many accounts of guys who have been out of work for quite a while, and like they've gone to jail because they're so far behind on their child support and they can't make payments because they don't have money. You're bringing in $0 a week. How are you gonna pay? Whatever you gotta pay for your kid or kids, and so they end up going to jail because it's like they're in contempt of court, if you will. And like when I heard that, or not heard, read that, and it's multiple accounts too. Like it's not just one instance. Like, oh, well, maybe that guy has some kind of weird. No, it's like a common theme, and it's like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, you can go to jail over child support. Like, in my situation, imagine I went to jail. It's like, that's just totally not fair. My daughter's mother has a job. Her new guy's got a job. They're fine with money. They don't need mine. Like, if I went to jail because I couldn't pay child support, that would be such garbage. And then think about it this way, too. They say child support is there to make an equal opportunity for the child. Okay, so when dad's in jail now, because he doesn't have a job, sometimes, especially if he's actively looking for a job, and now he's in jail because he can't find a job, how is that an equal opportunity for the child? Now the kid can't even see their dad because of money. You think the kid cares about money? No, the kid just wants to see, oh, it's my dad time, cool. And it's like, oh, I can't see dad because he's in jail because he didn't have money to give my mom. And it's like, that is such a garbage, that's garbage, all right? That is garbage. Now, back to my specific child support. So I pay $135 a week. And I think that is an absolutely insane amount of money for multiple reasons. First off, that comes down to $540 a month. $540 a month support. What the heck does that mean? Okay? That means it's supposed to be in addition to what my daughter's mother is supposed to be supplying, correct? It's supposed to be support. It's supposed to be help. $540 a month is way more than my daughter needs. And I know this because back when I had my last job, when I was making decent money, I did an experiment one June. What I did was, during that whole entire month of June, I think it was June 2018 I did this, I splurged viciously on my daughter just to see what it would take to spend $540 in a month. We went to the movies. I let her get snacks and drinks. I mean, that's expensive at the theater. That ran me up like $60 just right there. And then we went out to eat every visit. And I don't mean like McDonald's. I mean like real went out to eat. Like sit down restaurant. Left the tip. All that crap. Just to run up the amount of money that I was spending on her. We went to the store and I bought her something new every time. Whether it was clothes or a toy or a movie or what have you. She got something new every visit during that month. I mean, I did everything to really rack up $540 just to see what it would take. And you know what I was only able to get up to? High 300s. I think I got to like 390 something at the end of the month is all I could manage to spend. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. What does she need $540 a month from me for? I can't even intentionally spend that much money on her. And you mean to tell me that that's support? Meaning that she's supposed to be supplying money too? What is she supposed to be supplying? Also $540? So you're telling me that it costs $1,080 a month for one kid? No, it doesn't. Based on my experiment, it costs like $400 in a month. Like, it's ridiculous. And again, talking about the beginning days, what was even worse was my child support, I know, was not going towards my daughter. My daughter's mother, when she got her apartment, she basically had nothing in there. She had like a really old, crappy couch. It reminded me of one from like maybe the late 70s because it looked like a style like my meme has or had. She used to have really old furniture. And yeah, she had that. She had nothing in her refrigerator. She had just the clothes that she had all along. And after she started getting child support from me, what happened? Her refrigerator was jam-packed full. She got herself a new, huge couch. I mean, it like literally wrapped around the room. She got a giant couch. She started to get new clothes for herself, not for her daughter, for herself. And it was just like, I never said it, but I always thought to myself, wonder where you're getting all this money from. Oh yeah, me. You're welcome for the new couch. You're welcome for the full fridge. You're welcome for the new clothes. I'm glad this is called child support, and it's supposed to be to make an equal opportunity for our child. Looks like it's just supporting you, so apparently this is actually alimony. So that's cool. Alimony, even though we were never married, so that's even better. Like, and then even I don't know about nowadays, but I know even after, as my daughter started to get a little bit older, again, the money, she wasn't even using the money. All she's been doing was saving it. As far as I understand, she was just saving it, putting it in a savings account for her. Because I heard one time her mom said something like, I don't know, I think my daughter's mother was complaining that she needed some money for something, and then she was like, well, you get all that money in child support, you dig into that. And then, like, my daughter's mother was saying something like, no, that's her money, that's why I save it. So, again, it's like, okay, so this money, if anything, you're supposed to be using for her, and instead you're just saving it. I mean, I guess that's not bad, that's a good thing. She'll have a lot of money when she's older, if that's the case, because I'm pretty sure, she's 8 years old, so what have I paid so far, like $64,000? That's $64,000 more dollars than I have in the bank, so at least she'll have that in the future, which will be cool. I mean, if she really is at $64,000, by the time she's 16, she'll have $128,000. Like, she can get herself a house as soon as she's 18. So, I mean, in that regard, that's good. But for me, in my life, which also impacts my daughter, like, I have to work 2 jobs because I'm viciously struggling. I don't make enough at one job. Even when I was making $30 an hour, that wasn't enough. I was working 2 jobs then, too. I mean, I used to work, 25, 30 hours at a second job, and basically was, I don't want to say just barely scraping by, but I mean, it wasn't like I had tons of money to save. I had enough money to meet my bills and a tiny little bit extra to, have fun with my daughter, or buy her whatever she needs, a new winter coat, or what have you, So it's like, well, if all she's going to do is save my child support money, like, I can use that. Even if I kept working all these jobs I work, I can still use that extra money. That would greatly help me out. $540 a month? Are you kidding me? That's literally my rent right there. $10 shy. I pay $550 a month rent. $540, I can come up with $10. That's $250 a week. Bam, here's my rent. Just because I don't pay child support anymore. Like, I don't know. And then what's more irritating about this whole child support situation is this. I think that, I think child support needs to be massively revamped. So I feel like for guys like my situation, where you're actually in the child's life, it's got to be, I don't know. I can see if they charge child support in the very beginning, because obviously diapers are expensive, and wipes, and formula, and bottles, and like babies grow super fast, so you gotta constantly buy them new clothes. But after they hit like 2 years old, it slows down. And then from there, it just gets slower. And it gets cheaper. Kids barely eat anything, so then that really slows down. I mean, every time I go with my daughter, especially if we go to like a sit-down restaurant, I get a pizza. Bam, that covers me and her. And if she wasn't with me, I'd be getting the pizza anyway. So literally, it's like she eats for free, So kids just get cheaper as they get older until they hit like the teen years, then all of a sudden it gets expensive again. But where they're at now, it's cheap. And so I just feel like they gotta have, like, I don't know, a different system for child support. Yeah, maybe in the very beginning when there was diapers and formula and blah, 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 I was paying $135 a week. But maybe over time it should have went down. Like, now $50 a week would be fine. Seriously, $50 a week support? That would be more than enough. Because that would be enough that my daughter's mother could use. I mean, this is per week. I'm not even talking month. Per week? That's still $200 a month. That's still a significant amount of money for free. I mean, basically, my daughter's mother is getting paid like she works a side job because we have a kid together, though. Her side job is, I'm a mom, so I get paid for it. I mean, literally, I used to work, minimum wage was lower during these days. I think it was $9 an hour. But when my daughter was a baby, I was working full-time at my main engineering job, and then I was working 30 hours a week at McDonald's. And at the end of a month, so my child support is $540 a month. I was pulling in $600 a month from McDonald's. So that's only $60 extra. So when I say she's basically working a part-time job on me, she literally is. Making 540 a month literally is a part-time job a la me, though. She's not working it, she's just hanging out and gets to be paid for that. Like, I'd love to be able to hang out with my daughter and get paid. Jeez, we have fun all the time as it is. Get paid to have fun with her? Sounds like a great gig to me. Anyways, though, so it's just like, I feel like over time, though, like I said, yeah, so yeah, the 50, if it was down to 50 or even 60, say, a week, that's definitely way more than enough. For my daughter, she's super cheap. I mean, if you really break down what it costs me, what do I end up paying for her per week? I probably pay, yeah, literally probably $60 a week. So I would be paying 120 because I gotta pay the 60 when she's with me, and then the 60 in child support to her mother. But she would be absolutely free to when she's with her mother. Like, what do you need all that extra money for? What's the other? What is it? 75? What do you need the other 75 for? You don't. And again, like, she can pitch in. It's her kid. She should be able to have to pay for her as well. Why? Basically, what this comes down to is I pay for 2 kids, even though I have 1. I gotta pay for everything that she has at her mother's house, and then I gotta pay for everything that she has with me as well. It's like, how is that right? How does that even make sense? Again, especially considering that I'm in her life. Like, I can see, like, deadbeat dads. Guys that are like, yeah, I don't want to be in the kid's life, and they just aren't. Yeah, zap them for child support. Make those guys pay $135, $200 a week. Because it's like, yeah, okay, that's what you get. You're not going to be in the kid's life. You're going to screw the kid up emotionally. Like, how come my dad never wanted to be here? And you're thinking you're taking easy route, dipping out, then yeah. You can at least have some sort of responsibility for your child. But someone like me, who's actively in my child's life, why am I basically punished like this? Why do I have to pay for 2 kids when all I have is 1? And basically, why do I pay more money when she's with her mother than I have to when she's actually with me? That's even dumber. Like, really? And mind you, this as well. So maybe when she was a baby, she was with her mother a lot more than she's with me. That came out weird. She's with her mother a lot more than she is with me. But now that she's older and there's school, granted, yeah, COVID kind of screwed everything up. But before COVID, when she was in school, her mother and I basically have her the same amount of time per week, because I get her on Tuesdays and Thursdays after work. Well, a lot of times I was able to get to her mother's house before the bus even got there. So I was waiting at her mother's house to pick her up. So right there, she really has no time with her mother. She basically would get home, kind of unpack her bag, tell her mom what happened at school, blah, 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 repack her bag, or actually get her bag for when she comes to my place, and that was it. I mean, she's at her mom's for 5 to 10 minutes tops. Sometimes she'd dick around and go slow and take forever, and it would be like 15 minutes, but still, at the end of the day, I'm also there. I'm standing right there waiting for her, so if anything, you could say it's on my time and that she's my responsibility and what have you. So, you know what I mean? Meaning, like, her mother doesn't even have to be involved in those moments. And then nowadays we changed our court order so that we each get her every other weekend. So here's the situation. I get her Tuesday, Thursday, and every other weekend. And that means her mother gets her Monday, Wednesday, and every other weekend. Now that leaves Friday. Well, guess what? Neither one of us have her on Friday. Why? Because on Friday she goes to her maternal grandmother's and sleeps over there. And from what I understand, again, when there was school, her grandma, or maternal grandma, would pick her up from school. So again, she's with neither one of us. She's not with her mom, she's not with me. So nowadays, as I said, now that she's older, we have her the exact same amount of time per week. So I feel strongly that paying nothing in child support at this point would be fair, because she's with us an equal amount of time. Just because, yeah, technically her primary residence is at her mom's, so if she got mail from the school or whatever, it's going to go there instead of here. At the end of the day, the actual costs of taking care of her and stuff are even, because she's with us the same amount of time. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe you can say, oh, well, she goes to school from her mom, so she's going to have sandwiches for lunch and drinks and blah, blah. Okay, fine. There's that little bit extra cost. But otherwise, time-wise, is exactly the same. Especially when there's no COVID. Now it's a little clunky because COVID's screwing things up. But under a normal world, it's right down the middle. Like, exactly the same amount of time. And, yeah, there's that, too. Like, I have to have everything for her that she needs. Clothes, pajamas, in winter, like jacket, boots. I mean, you'd think that, her mom could just have it, right? And when I pick her up, she could just wear the jacket she's got and come to my place. Nope, that's not how it goes. I need to bring my own jacket. I don't technically need to, per, like, any regulatory guideline, like the court order. It's just my daughter's mother always has had it that way. You can provide a jacket for her. So it's like, again, like, I'm providing everything at my place as well. So it's like, I pay all this money, and it's like, it doesn't even benefit me. All the clothes that she has at her mom's, essentially, I probably paid for. But yet, forbid if you send her with any of it on, right? I gotta have a jacket as well. So I get to buy her 2 jackets, basically. The one that you bought with the money that they stole from me, and then the one that I buy with my own money that's left over. So that's cool. I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous. And then it's like, I'm not the only one that's kind of in a situation like this either. So what happened was, my brother and his son's mother, they're not together either. Theirs is a different situation than us. They were married for the first 2 years, and then it kind of just fell off, and they got a divorce and stuff. So at first, she had the primary residence. And my brother's work schedule isn't too crazy, but just because of school and everything, he ended up only getting him Saturday mornings into like Sunday afternoons. He'd have to bring him back. And they charged him $100 a week for child support, which on paper is less than me. But proportionately, that's insane, because first off, I work 2 jobs, and I make like $10 more an hour than he does at his one job. So proportionately, $100 is a massive portion of his money that they were charging him for one kid. Now, granted, you could possibly argue, well, he only saw him really on Saturdays and then half a day Sunday. Okay, maybe that's why they charge so much. But all I want to say is this. So, his son's mother has 2 children from a previous relationship that she basically ditched as soon as she met my brother. It's been, what now? 10 years, maybe longer? Yeah, 10 years. And in that whole entire 10-year time, she's probably seen her other kids maybe 20 times in an entire 10-year span. It's twice a year, basically. She barely sees those kids. She basically ditched them. And when they ended up having, my nephew, I figured the same thing would end up happening as happened with those kids. And sure enough, it more or less did. She's someone who's not really fit to be a mother. It's weird. She likes babies and wants to have babies, but she's not long term. She likes babies because there's something you can show off. You can go to your friends and, oh, look at my baby, and oh, it's so cute. But as soon as the kid's like 3 and walking and talking, then it's just a kid. I don't care anymore. So basically that's what happened. When he turned like 3-4 years oldish, she kind of started, I don't know, slacking a little bit, making bad choices, being irresponsible, that kind of shtick. So it kind of went to court again, it ended up getting to the point where it went to court again, and my brother this time won the primary residency. So he had a Monday through Friday, and now she got the weekend schedule he had, Saturday mornings into early Sunday afternoon. Now, guess what they did for child support for my brother? Well, if you couldn't guess, it should have been obvious based on where I'm trying to go with this. He got nothing. The whole entire time, he got nothing. They've kind of worked things out with one another now, so that they have him equally. They do like an every other week thing now. It's more or less just because things have changed in my brother's life, where his job's kind of, he has the same job, but kind of the hours are a little different, and like his living situation is different. Like he moved and stuff, so he just thought it might be a little more convenient for him if every other week he had his son that way. Then, you know, it's complicated, but it's just how it goes now. But still, he had the primary residency for what, 17, 18, yeah, like 2 years, 2.5 years before they made this change. And she paid him nothing. Now, if that was a man, first off, again, very first thing that would have happened, they would have set up child support. And then she's paid nothing. She hasn't volunteered to pay anything, nothing. So, again, if that was a man, though, oh, no, you know, he'd be in jail, they'd have tons of child support accrued for him to ensure that he paid off and all this crap. And it's just like, seriously? So because she's a woman, though, she gets away with it, right? She doesn't have to pay anything. She's clearly a crappy mom, too. That's why we're at this point where we're in court. But again, because she's a female, she gets to pay nothing. She gets to have a kid for free that she sees every other week. Not every other weekend, just every weekend for a day and a half's worth of that weekend. But if it's a guy, make sure you zap $100 out of his pay. My brother's probably making $400 a week, and they took a quarter of it to give to her. But in reverse, though, no, that's fine. Yeah, you don't have to pay anything. It's just ridiculous. It's just, I don't know. The system's broken, and like I know this whole time, like I said, I've been complaining about child support, but I don't mean it to sound like it's a bad thing. Like I said, deadbeat dads. Oh yeah, zap them. They're just being a loser anyways. That poor kid, you know, like they can at least be a part of their child's life financially, if they can't actually be in the kid's life. But if they're actively in their kid's life like me, like why do I have to pay so much? Like it really needs to be on a scale. Okay, fine. I can see if in the very beginning it was $135 because like I was saying, diapers and stuff are expensive. But over time it should have gradually dropped. Maybe by the time she was 2, I'm down to like $100. And then when she was 5, went down to 70. And then like now, 8 years old, you know, either A, it should only be, like I said, like $50-$60, or B, just nothing. What do I have to pay for? She's super cheap and super easy. She's ridiculously picky when it comes to food. All she likes is like cheap crap anyways. Chicken nuggets, peanut butter and jelly with no crust. What else? Chef Boyardee. Super easy, cheap stuff as it is. I need to provide that stuff for when I'm here, so I don't know why I have to pay for it when she's at her mom's. You know what I mean? Like, why can't her mom pay for her own child when they're together? Just like I have to pay for it when we're together. Like, you know, I don't know. It's definitely a broken system. It's definitely wrong. Like, that's why I said Connecticut, because I don't know how other states operate, if they're this broken or if they're somehow even worse. But, yeah. That's the other thing too. Like I really only ranted about child support, but there is more paternal rights that are a problem. I'm trying to think of them offhand. Like I think one of them is like, I think if your child's mother is actually like mentally unhealthy, it's a battle just to be able to get your child out of that environment. And, like, that doesn't seem right either, because I feel like that can be dangerous for a child. I'm not saying from any experience, like, with me or my brother, but I'm just saying when I was reading through things, like how I said these guys have gone to jail because they didn't have a job and stuff. I think some of them were complaining about how, like, they've had mothers that are bipolar or schizophrenic, and it actually creates a hostile environment for the children, and they try to get the child out of there just for the child's, safety, basically. And it's such a battle to be able to win in that situation because Connecticut's a mother state and, like, they don't care. Oh, you're a guy? Yeah, okay. I don't care. Oh, the child would have a much better, happier life with you? Mother state, we don't care. Oh, the mother's abusive to the child, not on purpose, but just because she has mental issues? We're not going to interfere. It's insane. It makes no sense. It's wrong. Like, and one thing I've wanted to do is I've wanted to try to become a politician for the state of Connecticut so I can change this. I actually have stuff written down from what my platforms would be. I have this more broken out because I have more things that I remembered at the time, so I wrote about them. I forget now. This whole thing basically has just been child support, but whatever. But yeah, there's that. I wanted to change. Oh, jeez. I don't know. I have 4 things for a platform, but this would be my number one. Changes the paternal rights. Like, I know the crap I went through. I know everything that sucked for me, everything that wasn't fair for me, everything that wasn't right for me, even for my brother, seeing what's happened with him. And, like, it's things that I'd want to change. And I felt like being a politician is the only way, because you can't write to your politician. Yeah, they always say, oh, write to your politician. Yeah, what's that do? Nothing. They don't care. A, they probably get billions of emails a day, so they're not reading them all. B, they're probably not even reading them. It's probably secretaries and stuff, staff going through it. C, like, your one isn't going to stand out. You got tons of people complaining about tons of stuff. Your one thing about paternal rights, they're not going to care. So I figured the only way to make real change is to be the change. But the problem is I have no idea how to get into politics. Like, that just seems hard. Like, how do I start? I was reading on how to start, and it's like, you gotta start in the small scale doing all this garbage, going to small town committees, and then try to move up from there, get on, like, the school board, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, that just sounds like crap. I don't want to do that. I just want to jump into it. And I feel like the only way you can really just jump into it, though, is if you have money. And I don't have money. I'm dead broke. Like Trump, look, he was able to run for president because he's a billionaire. So how simple is that to just be like, yeah, I'm going to make a campaign? He was famous already, so all you had to do was, make a press conference, be like, oh, by the way, I'm running for president. Boom. There it is. I can't just do that. I can't just have a press conference and be like, hey, I'm going to run for House of Representatives for the state of Connecticut. Like, so, it is something cool I would like to do, and it would be awesome if someday I could end up in the House of Representatives. I only choose the House of Representatives because obviously Senate is usually better. You know more senators than you know your reps, and senators are usually seen as like a higher ranking politician than a House of Rep person, but I feel like the House of Reps are where change is made. A senator is just... when you think of a politician, there you go. You're a senator. You're just a grimy person that says one thing and has no intention on backing it up. I feel like the House of Reps, so that's where the stuff really happens. If they say something, it might actually happen. There's a much better chance. So that's why I want to be working. What do they call them? Be a representative. Senator's easier. Just be a senator. What do you call House of Representatives? A representative. But yeah. No idea how to do it, but I do have a lot of platforms, and it would be cool if someday I could figure this out and have it happen. But, yeah, it's just, I guess the best way to say it is just disgusting, the system. It's wrong. Even alimony, I mean, I've never been married, and I don't know anybody who's been married and has to pay alimony, but even that I feel like is disgusting. Like, some people that pay tons of money for their whole life and stuff, it's like, I can get it, like, maybe the first year or two you have to pay alimony, especially if the wife didn't work and she was living off of you. Okay, yeah, fine, help her out for a little bit, but, like, it should be on her to get a job. I mean, there's a reason why the relationship ended. Even if he wanted the divorce, that something probably was happening all along that made him lose interest in her. Like, so fine, he helps you out for a little bit, but then get a job. If you don't have a job, then that's your problem, that you end up homeless. He shouldn't have to pay for you forever. And I feel like that goes for any guy. It doesn't matter if you're a multi-billionaire and you can afford $1 million a month alimony. Like, no. The relationship ended. So say these people are like 50 years old. So you gotta pay for somebody for the next who knows how long. 20, 30, 40 years just because you were married to them? You could be married to somebody for 10, 15 years, realize it was the wrong choice, and now you got to pay alimony to them for 40, 50 years? That's ridiculous. Like, I know somebody who was homeless because of alimony. He works. He has a job. I don't want to say it's a great job. It's not a bad job. It's union, so he has fair benefits and stuff like that. But as long as I've known him, I haven't seen him in a while, so I don't know what his status is anymore. But I knew him for like 5 years, 6 years, and that whole time I knew him, he was homeless. He lived out of his car. He used to park in. There was a Walmart. yeah, there's a Walmart near where I live in my town, and that's where he used to park at night. And he would, so he's always had like a mini SUV. He never really has like a full on SUV. He'll have like a, what is it like? Can't really think of anything offhand to describe it. Like a Explorer, there you go, like a Ford Explorer. He has vehicles like that, and what he does is he sets up like blankets in the back to make like curtains, and then he'll sleep back there. And but yeah, the whole situation why he's homeless though is because his alimony is just a ridiculous amount of money, and he can't afford rent anywhere. And I don't know if he has nowhere else to go, and that's why he just chooses to be homeless or what. But I know that's what he's told me, that his alimony is very high, and that's why he's homeless. Well, he didn't say that's why he's homeless. He never really talked about it, which is understandable. You wouldn't want to talk about that, but everyone knew, you know. But yeah, he used to always just complain like I'm always broke because of my alimony. So I kind of put two and two together and figured, oh, that's probably why he's homeless, because his alimony is just so insane. From what I understand, though, why his alimony could be that ridiculous is because he used to have a super good job. I guess he's got an MBA, and you know, he had some high paying job. And you know, I asked him, why don't you do that anymore? Because the job, like I said, he has isn't bad, but it's nothing. First off, it doesn't utilize his degree at all. It has nothing to do with business. It's just a job. And I asked him, like, why don't you do anything with that anymore? And he says, because look at me. I'm, at that time, I think he was like 55. He's like, I'm 55, you know, companies aren't looking at me like, ooh, there's somebody we can invest in long term. They see me as, you know, I'm almost there to retirement. What are they going to be able to get out of me? 10 years maybe? Maybe less? So he's like, it's impossible for someone like me to find a job anymore. And then I was like, you know, he does have a point. And that's unfortunate, because what companies should see is, ooh, here's somebody with lots of experience who's definitely going to be serious, because, you know, he's a man, meaning like he possibly has a wife to take care of. He's got a house, you know, a mortgage, a car payment, this, that. Versus the kid that's coming in. Yeah, maybe you can try to get more out of the kid long term, but I mean, at the end of the day, the kid's a kid. You know, he's living at home with his parents still. His bills are his phone. Like, he don't care about the job, or the man's gonna care about the job, because he's like, okay, I gotta make sure I have income to cover this stuff. But he does have a point. That's not how companies function. They don't think like that. They think, oh, I'm only gonna get 5 to 10 years out of you, and then you're retired. Yeah, right. So that's why he works a more average job that's way beneath him, and ends up being homeless because alimony is insane. But that's not what this was about. It's just, I just feel like things are just wrong, and alimony is another money situation, so I figured it kind of relates. But yeah, I guess that's about it. Just a little rant. Well, not really little. It's been an hour about how child support is a very broken system, and definitely needs to change. Something needs to change. So, until next time, I said see ya.